Hey everyone, it's Rob Stanley with the Ecom Wiz podcast. And today my special guest is Colin, Raja, and his wife Angie. Hi, thanks for being on the show.
Hey guys, hey Rob, thanks for letting me in and then introing us. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it. So
no
excited to
problem.
be part of this.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, no, we got some great information. We were just talking beforehand, but today we're going to talk about how to keep your Amazon business going during this crisis, which we all know it's been affecting everybody. We're going on probably 8 months now that we've kind of all been hit by this whole COVID thing. But I was talking with Angie and Raja, or Angie and Colin, sorry, and they had some really good tips. And one of them is talking about diversifying your manufacturing. Now, tell us a little bit about what have you guys done to diversify your manufacturing to kind of keep things going during this time?
So the 2 years back, we went to not 2 years, 3 years back, we went to China. That period of time, we initially found that every product is going to China, and then it seems to be the Chinese manufacturers knows more than we know about our product, and then our profitability. They come up with a list of products that, oh, this is the profitability what we're going to have. At that point, we figured out it's not a good practice to. We need to have more control of our profitability. They shouldn't be worried about our profitability. So at that point, what we did is right. We started looking outside the other countries. So we travel across like almost 7 different countries, and also we travel in India for like 5 6 months. We travel across different states for economic zones, and we have like a better 3,500 manufacturers we founded related to the products what we wanted. We placed order to China, and then after immediately we placed order to a 3 different manufacturer for a backup actually. So how do we did this right? We create a separate SKU for each and every manufacturer so that we know that how much a defect rate for each and every one has.
Oh,
So
wow.
that way we can right now in the pandemic situation, we never went out of stock of any product because we were able to pool all the 3 places, even small quantity, we can able to ship fast. So that's where I'm telling everyone, once you launch the product, don't think that, the launch is over. You're going to be all going to be good after this. So better be start diversifying your manufacturing sectors, different manufacturers. So this way we were able to take a control of, like, even if the manufacturer come and say no, we need to increase the price, we can say, hey, no, we're going to be done with you, we're going with this, we're going with other person. So we have more control on the manufacturing. This is how we diversify our sourcing ability actually, from for one product I'm talking about,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
each
no,
and every
that's
product.
that's good information, right? Because a lot of times people, when they hear the word about diversifying, they start thinking about getting into other products. And what you're doing is going a whole different way. You're looking at how can I diversify on where I'm sourcing my products or getting my products from. I love
Yep.
that idea of like creating different, part numbers or SKUs for different manufacturers that you've used so you can see which ones are coming back, which ones are having the issue. And just to clarify, you're selling in the US, correct?
Yes, we're selling in US, Canada, and then UK, currently going into Singapore, and also India, and also Dubai, EE market.
Nice. And then at the height of you sourcing, how many countries and which countries were you sourcing from?
So currently we're sourcing China, the primary, right? Of course, that's where we initially source the product from. Why? Because it's easy accessibility. Nobody can, cannot say that, that's the first one. The second one is like India and Pakistan. Right now we have a couple of manufacturers in Taiwan and Thailand. So we went to Cambodia, and also the couple of places like Burma, and there are a couple of manufacturers we found, and then economic zones that we follow up.
Mm.
So those are the countries we were able to source the product from at this point actually.
Yeah, that's great. And when I was running my Amazon business, we had approximately 30-40% of our items coming in were actually coming in from India. So I completely understand. And there was even times that we did the same thing. We got samples from China for a particular item, and then we compared it against our samples, but we didn't sell them side by side, but we just kind of compared them ourselves. And India was actually better, and their pricing was actually better. And every time we went back to China and said,
That's good.
they would ask us like, what's your current price? We would tell them, they're like, we can't make it for that. We're like, well, then I guess we'll stick with who we have because product's good and the quality's good. So we'll just stay there. But so another thing that we were talking about earlier, and I would like you to kind of go more depth on, is product launch. Like you have kind of a different system or a unique system for doing a product launch. Why don't you step everybody through your different, your way that you do product launches?
So the product launch, essentially how it works is, right, your product launch, you prepare for your product launch before you launching before even you selecting the products actually. So we step in on the product launch in terms of like even selecting the product, right? It's our launch strategies actually completely. So we go for a prioritization, like something that um, when you select the product, very good product, it's most of the things is being, it's like completed. So the typical things what they talk about is specifically like, oh, you have to have a 150% ROI, and you need to have like a product, 7 people needs to be make good sales, and then one of them should be have like a minimum 50 below review, then you're good to source. But most of the time that's not a typical case, right? So now we going into in depth of like, think about it. When you're launching the product, you don't have to be in the first 4 positions, right? If you check the first page itself, you can able to identify how many people are not doing really good. So all we need to focus on, right? Bringing your product on that first page first, right? And then after that, you can able to push it a little bit through on the first 2 rows or 3 rows. So that's our basic strategy is, right? Finding the weak areas of our competitors on the first page actually. So when you find the product, right, these are the criteria we keep actually as a priority. Is it a good profitability product? For sure, yes, we taking it. And also the second one is like the relevancy score actually, what we talk about, how relevant all these products are in the first page. If you see more unrelevant product you're seeing in the first page of the main keywords, that means that there is a possibility that you can able to go and then crack the market really easy. So from that point, what we're doing is, right, we identify all the keywords, all the gaps in the market, um, calculating the exact value that how much we need to give away. Especially with that, there are things going on in the market right now, doing the add to carts and a whole bunch of things. It all comes to the point is, right, whether you're creating the relevancy for your listing, and also giving the number of clicks what is required, not overdoing it, and also giving the required conversion. That's the basic core principles that what we're following right now. It's working really way much better. I can show you like a 4 products what we launched in a 3-4 days. We were able to be in a top 2 rows or first rows in the major keywords actually. With the minimum giveaways, we don't give away like crazy. Why? Because think about it, each and every keyword perform differently in each and every single day actually. So you identify how is the trend of the keyword, so you can change it accordingly, your launch and giveaways, and also number of clicks what's required for your product.
Yeah. Do you feel, and I've seen this before, if you have the right product and you've done your homework and you source it correctly and it has correct, good quality features and good quality itself, and again, price being also, you got to be competitive. If you do all those correctly, you don't always need to do giveaways. Like if you put it up and everything is there and it's correct and you've done your research, it should do well. It should do well automatically. Have you seen that?
It is, yes. That's the one first criteria when we launching the product. If the first day it makes like organic sales with the PPC, we double it up immediately with that product specifically. But when you look for it, right, the essential, the A9 algorithm is, right. How it works is it compares with the other people actually, other competitors, right, to place it. Are you going to get enough traction at the initial time itself? No, you won't get it. Of course, Amazon is giving you a yearly boost because for the specific keyword. Why? Because Amazon segregated in this way. It's not a product launch, it's a keyword launch basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's per product, per category, per subcategory, and per keyword, right? Each and every keyword treated separately, right? When you talk about that specific keyword, how is your competition level, how many people are getting clicks, how many people are getting conversion. It's the most important thing to calculate. How many people getting impression up, how many people sharing the clicks. It's a most important thing there. When someone doesn't have, when your competitor doesn't have enough click, and then you getting enough clicks, so you automatically going to move on top of it. So that's a difference, right? Even if you have a good product, even if you have a very profitable thing, even if you don't have the no competitor, there is no something called there's no competitor. Everywhere you will find the competitor, at least like 2 or 3 people, right? How good is a competitor is the most important thing, right? When you have such a thing, so when you give a little bit boost, then you're gonna be easily moving on top. Yes, of course, I've seen people who is like just launched the product with the PPC.
Yeah.
It's basically not 70% of luck, right? 70% like they're spending too much money on the PPC as well. But it's a calculative again, how much investment you need to put it in actually, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to give $2 click, $2 for a click just with the PPC, or you want to give 10 cents or 5 cents for click? Actually, that's a difference, right? Your
Yeah.
ROI is the most important thing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just to kind of go back to, what we were talking about with the whole crisis and everything, there was a time where Amazon was having, I wouldn't say having trouble, they were kind of limiting what was coming into stock or into inventory. Now, how did you guys deal with that? And what have you either changed or kept the same going forward from that point regarding making sure that you always have inventory?
So what essentially what we did is, right, we periodically increase our pricing. Everyone increased the pricing at that point, right? We slowly increase that level as well. At that point, we see even if we bring it to the DHL every week, we are very profitable at that point. So we said, okay, cut the crap. We're gonna bring everything to the DHL. So we
Yep.
scheduled 300 kg every single day, right, from different places, like a 3-day shipment. So periodically we shipping it to, giving it to Amazon completely. So this way we were able to completely able to be on track. And also it's not come from one factory, it's come from like 3 different factories. So it's easy for us to, plan it accordingly in such a way that we're not going to go out of course, we went out of stock for a couple of products because it's going to take 30 to 45 days to manufacture that particular
Yep.
products. So we cannot control that one, but this is exactly what we did. We just like pawned in money and then making sure that your returns are good, your ROI is good, you're making the profit. So we stay above the water. we send it in, but it's still a good profitability. Right now we're still keeping the same money, same price. We're making like almost $14-15 profitability on the same product actually. So we that's how we send it like a limit, and then and also we store some of the product in the warehouse, and then try to send weekly shipments, and then yeah, that helps for us in the crisis.
Yeah. Now, one thing I notice a lot of sellers on Amazon, or just in general, when people sell anything, they're so focused in on their profit margins. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be, but I think sometimes they overlook like cost cutting. And, I think that you could make money just by cutting some cost or looking internally or looking at your business, figuring out where can I do things a little bit cheaper? Where can I save a little more money? So what kind of things have you guys done to kind of cut cost and make a little more money that way?
Do you want to take it? Okay. Basically we did a lot of things. So in terms of like Amazon PPC is the most expensive things in the Amazon the business, right? Completely. So we
Yep.
spend like almost 8 to 14% any point of time for the Amazon thing. So we identified the keywords, right? Um, so we differentiate keywords in 2 ways. One is a purchase keyword, one is a browse keywords.
Hmm.
Okay, we don't go with like a regular way to talk about the keywords. Most of them don't talk about this right now. So we take off the browse keywords on the weekends and then non-profitable days for us.
Yep.
So the PPC will not run for those keywords, and PPC will run for certain keywords. And then we also tested very extensively how much maximum we can spend for each and every keywords. So during certain times we put up the limit, not on the not on the campaign level. We put a limits on the portfolio level. So we keep that one under the budget in terms of like we want to spend 8% of it. We divide that into 3% on like a profitable like non-profitable keywords, but I want to be on top of it. Why? Because it's going to help for me for my profitable keywords. So
Yep.
like almost like 5% to 6% will be go on like a very profitable keyword, and then we doubling it every single time to make more profitability, right?
Nice.
And then making more money out of that, and then bringing more relevancy. So that's the one expense we control it really bad. Why? Because Saturday, Sunday, it's a waste of money on spending that same amount of money. Like if you're spending $100 for the same money that, irrespective of whether you're making, so anyway, you're going to be having like 100 sales, right? That's going to be 100 sales in an average, right? So you're going to be spending like almost $200 for 100 sales every single day, even if you go down a high. So what we identify is, right, reduce that cost. That saves a lot of money for us actually. That's the first cost cutting we did. And then we identified the tools, and then also the subscriptions, whatever we having. It's so much of overhead cost for us actually. That's the second one what we cut up. What's the next? What are the things you realize?
Well, the cost cutting, I think this crisis gave us some time to pause and do some house cleaning and housekeeping in the business and things we wouldn't get to do otherwise. The first thing, as Colin said, was in PPC. The second thing was with looking at our accounts and our financial statements. And, we went back a couple of years, and the first thing we did was started looking at tools. And so that's one of the areas where we started to do some cost cutting. We were looking for redundancies, things that we probably should have done maybe 2 or 3 years ago. This gave us time to do it. So that was one area. So we kind of adopted this method of reduction, right? And on one end, and the other we did some expansion, which we could talk about later. But we reduced tools that were redundant. We also reduced tools that we may or may not have been using. We may have used it maybe 3 months ago and not anymore. We put them into different buckets. Like, are we getting charged monthly for these tools, or is it an annual fee? And so and another thing that we did was we started to look for other cheaper alternatives for tools that we may need, but we may not need so many features of. And so this was kind of like the tiered system in which we took a hard look at accounting. And it's still an ongoing process, but that was one of the things that we did.
That's what I love. Okay, so when we had this COVID and this lockdown, you guys did exactly what everybody should have been doing, right? A lot of people decided to sit on the couch, watch TV. That's not what you did. You worked on your business, and you start working on what can we do for when we come out of this COVID or things pick back up again. What can we do to save money and make money? Because really saving money is making money. And that's just awesome. That's really awesome. And something that, I mean, from probably March, April, I've been just telling everybody that, hey, take a look at your business, see where you can make changes. Now's a good time to do research. Research takes time to find new products, and it's like, that was awesome. So Angie, you and I were talking before we got on here a little bit more about kind of like expanding your operations and looking deeper into the operations. Why don't you go a little more into that? Did you guys end up, scaling the business more? Did you end up hiring? And at what point? Because when we first kind of went to lockdown, did you do it right then, or did you kind of wait until things came back?
So that's a really great question. So one thing we did, like most people were doing, we were looking at cost cutting and reduction. On the other hand, we thought that we would take advantage of this time and do some expansion. And one area that we did that was in operations and hiring. And so prior to the COVID, we were kind of restructuring and doing some hiring anyway. And then when COVID happened around, I guess, after March, we actually still continued on with that process, and we made it more effective. So I think we went from maybe 3 or 4 people in June to now our team has grown to about 22 people. And we've done all of our hiring over this COVID period. And so it was essential for us to kind of do this in lieu of the what we're about to do and the launches and what we're expecting to come out on the next side of whenever we get out of this lockdown again. And so I think one thing that was really in our favor was the job market was really filled at that time, because unfortunately there are a lot of people who are looking for jobs and a lot of people who are furloughed and a lot of people who have really great skill sets that were being underutilized. And so this is one of the areas that we tapped into. One of our key I guess tactics or tips that we do is we really look for we love to hire the unhireable. And what I mean by that is that we like to hire people who may be overlooked by employers for XYZ reason. Like I've done a lot of hiring in corporate, and there's so many criteria that we use to sort through candidates. And so as a business owner, I've actually pushed against that and done something differently. Like, why shouldn't someone have a gap in their resume? Let's figure out what's going on there. And that's an immediate red flag for anyone that's in HR doing hiring. And so that's kind of what we've been doing, and it's been really helpful for us. Another thing that was, good during this time was that we did housekeeping even in operations. So what I mean by that is we took a look at the roles we had and who was sitting in those seats. And the first thing is you have to find the right person for the right seat. And the other thing is that it's okay to have one person in two seats, but you can't have two people in one seat, else that leads to redundancy. And so this is what we also started to do, which was, filter out, make sure everyone was in the right seat, make sure everyone was, we didn't have any redundancies going on. If there is, we would try to find another role for that person, or we would create one. And so this is kind of where the reshuffling happened. We added, so many more people to the team and expanded that way. And this is the kind of anti-reaction I think most people had during this COVID, but it certainly is working for us.
Yeah, no, that's great information, right? Like while we were all hunkered down, you guys looked internally at what can we change, what can we fix, what roles need to be adjusted or filled or maybe eliminated. I mean, and if not eliminated, can you consolidate it into another role? I mean, those are things that people have to do. Like you said, you should have done it a couple of years ago. Well, everybody listening, stop right now. Take even 3 days, right? 3 days, look internally at your business and see what changes you can make to either save money or make money. Because really, like I said, saving money is making money. And I think you just gave some great examples right there on things that people could look at.
You could do see, we started simply like just an empty board. Okay, right now we come up with like a more advanced level of it, but I'll tell you the basic level where we take a step in, right? When Angie and me were discussing about it, right, we go into the team with the basic number of 3-4 people in our team, key resources, go on a board and talk about like, okay, where we want to reach here, and then what are the boxes we need actually, and then how you need to be. So we didn't write anything. He's the manager, he's the product developer, he's the PDAs, and nothing. It's an empty board. We need to reach here. What are the boxes is required to fill up this one? So we started filling up that particular boxes. Then we were able to take the people and then position in that box specifically. And then we found there is a lot of gap in transition between one box to another box, right? And then one person is doing a two thing, and then one person is looking for the one person is like waiting for another person, thinking that they're going to do it and they're going to do it, and then there is no clarity on that the execution aspect of it. So we found that one. Right now we're doing OKR methodology, you know. So basically it's like a key principles what we want, and then who are all the responsibility, who is driving the overall sales, and then overall incremental sales, who's going to bring it up, what are the things is required for each and everything. And then from there we're dividing the KPI. Before, we don't even know how to start the KPI. Like 1 year back, right, 1.5 years back, we have no idea about what is KPI. How do we put KPI in the business? What the heck is that, right? Now we know the clear cut idea of like, okay, this person The overall growth we want is like a 10-15%, 10% per 15 days, right, for the product launch. Okay, who's bringing this 10%? We did that for each and every team, like PDAs. And for example, our accountant, what is this KPI, and then how we bringing there is revenue, but revenue is not bringing the value of revenue, but he's saving money by not giving anything outside any kind of accounting service. And also the HR, we're not placing anyone in the HR service. The HR is bringing the resource for us. So how's saving money? So that's whole drama has been orchestrated very well. So we playing everyone together with the roles that what we need to do.
Yeah, wow, that's great information. And people should really listen to what you just said, because that is absolutely right. All this is great information about, during this crisis. And people might think, well, things are getting better and we're, kind of getting semi back to normal. Sales are good. I think these things should be done at any time, right? I mean, there's a chance we could have another wave coming up. Now, will they probably won't shut at least the United States down, I don't think. But these are good things that, hey, take a weekend and look at what's going on with your business and where you can make changes. Now, let's get back on to what about exploring different business verticals to diversify your income. You gave me some great examples before we got on the air. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what you guys did?
So basically, there are a couple of areas. Myself and Angie took a separate role actually right now. So since I'm in a okay, due to that pandemic situation, and also we expected that China is going to be having a difficulty in terms of like people want to be going into China. You're gonna reduce it. Why? Because they know more than us in terms of market, and also they coming with the competitive product. Even I see my manufacturer was already launched the product, the same product as my competitor. When I launched the product, it doesn't make any sense to me, right? To go and then they putting it for $14, I'm selling for $21. It doesn't make any sense. I told them, if you don't remove it, I don't purchase from you actually. So literally, so at that point we said, okay, it's not good for our business to do this one. So I would rather source a product somewhere else. We started sourcing outside. So that gives an opportunity for us. The people started reaching out to us in terms of like sourcing ability, that what they want to source it from the different country. So that's where we started the company called the Indian Sourcing Company. So which helping other people in terms of like sourcing from different portfolios. We also help them to, we essentially tell them, go and then source from China, the first batch, it's good, all good, whatever it is, but make sure diversify a different manufacturer for you, to make sure that you have the backup for your product. You own your product. You're not owning, nobody is owning your product. You understand what I'm saying? It's a totally two different games here right now what we're playing. We let the manufacturer like own it, and then what if one day is died and then it disappeared, no more business, and then what are you going to do at that point? So you need to have all the backups what is required for you at that point, right? So why don't you create it well before even like there's something is happening? Why you're waiting for it? So that's where the ISC is being formed right now. Be working on at this point. And then Angie took the different role, and then I'll let Angie talk about it. So since I was in an import and export space, and then I got an opportunity to go into the PPE world, so which is like personal protection equipments related to COVID. I've been working on with basically we don't made a lot of money on that one, but I made a lot of connections with the healthcare. Right now, I can be a person who can able to take any products to any hospitals, any kind of big traders, any kind of a big to the end customers actually. So one of the product we're working on, there's a sample there. I'll show you in a little bit, right? This is like specifically kills the airborne virus actually. They basically developed it for a SARS and influenza B actually virus. We taking a distribution, and also we putting our brand in that, and then taking the distribution all over the India and also Dubai, and then we're asking for US right now. So this is a great opportunity for me specifically to diversify our not only focusing on Amazon. So I said, okay, fine, I am good. I put Angie as a COO right now. She's like taking up the role, challenge, and everything. And then I'm literally working like a 1 or 2 hours in the Amazon business. So only driving I'm very passionate about launching and all these things. I still want to be learning more, and then looking for a new products. That's my role right now. So Angie took the whole operational element of it, and automating the whole process. So that's what the Angie role. So we doing it in such a way that we're taking one element of the business per week and automating the whole thing. I want to let Angie to talk about it, and then how she diversify. I want you to talk about it.
So wait,
Yeah,
wait,
so-
Angie, before you answer that, so he's kidding, right? There's no way he's only working 2 hours. Are you working like 20 hours a day? I mean, come on. So,
well,
right? So tell us if you guys are only working a few hours a day, what kind of changes have you guys made to be able to do that?
That's
And
a lot.
this got to be good. I want to take notes. Hold on. So
That's
go
a
for
lot,
it.
actually.
So he is essentially not kidding. He works essentially 2 hours, sometimes even 1 hour a day.
Not even.
And my
What does he do
hours
the
have
rest of the
actually-
day? Wait, what does he do the rest of the day?
Well,
I'll show you.
we actually work on opposite schedules right now. So he's
Oh.
working in US time. I'm working in India time since we're here. And so he works on the other business verticals that he was talking about. But for Amazon specifically, it's essentially 1 to 2 hours. My hours in Amazon have actually gone down to maybe 4 or 5 a day,
Okay.
and probably even less. And so we worked really hard and to get to this point actually. And we're not to say we're still working hard just in these other different verticals. But I'll just talk very briefly about the other verticals that we did. So when we were talking about the operations and scaling, this is now he's passionate about launching, and I'm passionate about operations, processes, and people. And so this is kind of where we found our element, where we started to do rapid hiring over those couple of months and getting more members onto the team. And so what I learned during that process, to be honest, I didn't know anything about what the hiring process was like in India. I'm very familiar about that in the US and how to handle that. And then when I came here, my mind was completely blown. I was in over my head. And so slowly but surely, we started to hire the right people for the right role. And this took some trial and error. And that really has become a success, not only for our business, but for those that we're hiring. And so I was able to kind of figure out, when we were just talking earlier about these areas that are often overlooked. And so, thinking, for example, about an engineer, right? There are a lot of engineers in India, but what else can an engineer do other than engineering, right? The core skill set and the educational background must have some applicability in the current Amazon business. And so I was able to figure out how exactly to plug and play these individuals, many of whom were looking for a job. And I found a lot of these individuals were actually women, and these were educated women. I'm talking about women with like PhDs and MBAs and masters. And I learned a lot about the culture here in India. This is Colin's home turf, and so there's a lot of women who, they go to college, they get the degree, they work a little bit, and then after they get married and have kids, that's it. They don't go back to work at all. And I was just like fuming over this because, my lifestyle, my experiences are much different in the US. We have everything's compartmentalized. And so we started hiring a lot more women on our team. And this is something I'm not very vocal about, like women's rights and all of these things like that. But I really am.
That's okay.
And so that became kind of like a passion project for me. So hiring a lot more women. And so in the process of, and a lot of work from home women. And in that process, I found like a really great momentum and a really nice sweet spot where I could now connect these women to also friends and other business owners that we know who are looking for VAs. So that's the other project that I'm working on separately. So I started to supply other Amazon business owners with Indian VAs because this is kind of like, from my own experiences, I found that there was this gap. And so this is kind of one of the other business verticals that we're
Wait,
working on.
did I hear a new business? Is this a new business I'm hearing?
Oh, hear that? Look at this. Look at this.
Right?
And
There
this
you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that's also one of the reasons why we're able to work as less spend less time in the business that we do.
Yeah.
We have found the right people for the right role. We have almost outsourced so many. I think at least 85 to 90% of our tasks we have
No,
outsourced.
basically, what exactly what is Angie was like very passionate about woman empowerment. I mean, you cannot win that. You cannot. Don't even talk. I mean, she will kill us actually for sure, right? So that's where she found. She was passionate and talking about women rights, and not only women rights. She specifically started a podcast called the Female Founder Podcast, Female Founder Experience. With the they say 2x. Why? Because the two chromosome is better than a one chromosome.
Yes, I have three
So
ladies in my house, so I understand.
so basically how we did is right basic this is one of the core principle where we read in some of the books or things what we went through. We took one area in the business every week. We know what area we're going to work on,
Sure.
and then we make sure that area is never going to be touched, and then it needs to be run automated ultimately by itself with the people that who's required to be in that, and then they have the KPI to measure specifically on that specific area. For example, so sourcing side, right? We have three resources with the sourcing, right? And then our PDAs, our product developer, a product development manager, who has to give the requirements just like external client, not even like internal client. So give that resource to them. And then
Yeah.
after that, our PDAs, our sourcing managers who take the project, how they need to be given step by step. We divide that into days actually. It's like 100 days for a product launch, right? Like phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. And then like 45 days for a product sourcing up from product launch, product requirement to product requirement gathering to product reaching to Amazon. It's
Yeah.
like 45 to 65 days actually. That's the time cycle what we keep it. What do you need to do on the first day? What do you need to do on the second day? What do you need to do up to 45 days? We have the SOP right now.
Yeah.
And then requirement phase on top of it, like when you say, okay, this is our goal, like we need to launch like 10 products in the upcoming month or in this time period of time. So we chunk it into 3 or 4, whatever it is. So what time we need to get the detailed requirements, like for example, like what product, what materials, what everything needs to be get in a one-page document with the Excel, and then what the sourcing team need to, how many sourcing, how many manufacturer they need to give on the second page, who needs selected for what. So that's been streamlined right now. We don't have to go into that right now. Our
Yeah.
our project managers and then HR who's doing the KPI, who's accountant who checking the ROI for that. There are two elements we keep it. One is KPI and then relevant ROI for each and every resource. If they're not meeting two of them, they're getting out of the company actually immediately.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So
That's good. And not to cut you off because I know we can go on for a while, but I'm going to have you guys back on the show for sure because there's lots of good information there, and we could probably go on for quite a while. But specifically, India sourcing company, that's your guys' company. I want to have you back on. Let's talk more about sourcing from India. But before we do that, why don't you tell me, both of you, give me a brief kind of background of how you guys got into the whole Amazon world, maybe how you met, and then how did you start the India sourcing company?
basically, okay. I was working as assistant vice president of compliance in Bank of America.
Uh-huh.
That time was we were dating together, right? Uh, and then I was reading the
You're
book
not
called.
sure. You looked at her like, right? Weren't we?
So
You guys are cute.
yeah, it's
Go
been a
ahead.
while, right? That's what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
I was reading the book called, one of my friend was given a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad to read about it.
Yep.
So until then I was just a 9 to 5 guy. I have nothing to do with the business. I was passionate to start something on my own and do something. Why? Because my background is such a thing that we come from hard childhood background, right? So I want to be prove myself that I am, always trying to be prove as a middle class, a below middle class, be trying to be prove myself that I'm worthy. You need to talk to me, I'm worthy, and doing all these things, right? So when I read that book, it's given a very eye opening for me, and all the financial aspect of it. I started changing, slowly changing everything. At that point, there is an ad pop up. The Kiyosaki was introducing Matt, amazing selling mission, right? And then they're putting up a free series of how to source product and doing that. So when I see it, I say, I'm not going to pay $4,500, but I can do this one actually. So being cheap, and then I spend like 19 hours on trying to learn the business, trying to understand what it is. I have no idea what is e-commerce before that, to be honest with you. I have never heard of the term. I was like thinking about it's a commerce or whatever. I have no idea. So and then and then they talk about launching the product in Amazon, and then I say, Angie, Angie, why don't we do this one actually? So she's not really believing that. Why? Because essentially, like, we are all from 9 to 5. Everyone has a test. Everyone like thinking about, why are you doing this? You're making 6-figure salary, and why you want to go and then sell something? I said, okay, let me buy something for $100 and then launch it. So that's where it's all started. We bought something for $100 in US market, the foldable water bottle, and then I took it to my office, and then during the break I put the stamp and then pack it and ship it out to the go to the local post office, and then send this out to the customers. That's where we started. Somebody talk about Amazon. We product launched in Amazon, and Angie was like was helping me out from the very beginning after that, even though she don't believe in me. So, and then from there she was like helping me, and then we start slowly growing. um and then we married, and then we didn't go for honeymoon at all. We still working like 19 hours a day. But I guess last year it's paid off completely. 2 years we've been traveling across different country. I guess it paid off, right?
I'll give you that.
That's awesome. That's great. So the India sourcing company, at what point did you start that? And tell everybody a brief on what you guys do, what kind of services you offer.
So the Indian sourcing company, basically we started by November end actually. We see that the China was shutting down, and then people are reaching it to
Tariffs and
tariff and a whole bunch of, that's another thing, tariff. There is no tariff in India, product from India,
Yeah.
right? So we said, okay, fine, that's a great opportunity. And also people come to me, and then I give them a free help. I'll hook up with the manufacturer and say, go on and get it from them. And then I say, and also they have when I hook up with them, with the manufacturer, they have a language gap, and then cultural barriers, and a whole bunch of things. So that's where we found that, why not, right? It's a good marriage between, I know the people who want the product, I know people who suffering or who want to sell the product, the manufacturers, and then that's a good marriage together. So that's where we put up, like I say, that okay, let's create a company where we can have both of them, right? And also the basic thing is like diversify the sourcing ability for them. That's where we started the Indian sourcing company at that point. We helped a couple of people, to be honest, and also we very busy in since we get into the point, we were able to have a lot of access with a lot of manufacturers, and then we helped quite a number of people, and then also right now we trying to scale this business specifically to the next level. What is the offer is what are we offering is, right, we help you to find the 3 different source from the 2 different countries actually, so that you will have a different. And also initially we recommend them to source it from China itself. We can help them out on sourcing from China once first sourcing is done. Why? Because it's all about launching the product as soon as possible. That's what the most important thing is, right?
Yeah.
So we take the product, launch it in Amazon. Meanwhile, when you launch it, like taking 45 days to 55 days, we parallelly working on sourcing from the different countries actually, like India, Pakistan, and other countries.
Yeah.
And also we can help them on the keywords and a whole bunch of things, whether it is going to be worth it, this product to invest, and all these things, right? We help them like, okay, this product has so much market competition, do you want to do that one? We give them a peak source of like our idea of like, whether it is worth it to be going to this market or not. That's the whole thing. It's just to help people out. We essentially not trying to of course it's a business, we're trying to make money out of it for sure, but essentially it's to be having a good marriage together between the sellers, the manufacturer, and then the sellers who want help to be diversified.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's face it, tariffs are not going to be going down anytime soon from China. So definitely get a hold of Angie and Colin over at indiasourcingcompany.com. And of course, if you need some help with staff to hire, get a hold of Angie over there. She'd be happy to connect you with some people. And it sounds like that business is going to go pretty well. Well, I'm definitely going to get you both on again. And we're going to talk even more about India sourcing, because I think that's a huge area that's just going to get bigger and bigger, especially with, like I said, all these tariffs going up and, relations between the US and China not being at their best. Now is a perfect time to be diversifying, going out there, looking at other sources like China. And like I said, when I was doing my Amazon business, we sourced from China about 30-40% of our products, and it was amazing. And plus, not having all those tariffs was great. So Angie, Colin, thank you so much for being on the Ecom Wiz podcast. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to having you on again.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwiz.com.